What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Arias in the Nation. Guys, we have a super special guest on the channel today. Kyle, you might know him. You might know him from a variety of different projects here on YouTube, but probably, I'm guessing, Rykerroad. You might know him. Dude, thank you so much for jumping on our channel here. Thank you so much for your time. I know you are a busy person, and I know this because we've been trying to do this for like a year, dude.
Well, I think it's funny because the way that I found out about you, we were talking a little bit about this before we got started, was that so Rykerroad mom, our mom in real life, which some people are kind of like, is that really your mom? Like, yeah, like she's been there the whole time.
Just put it in there to be ironic.
Yeah, right. No, she talked very highly of you, and I remember diving into one of your live streams because I think it was one of those that I can't remember if Eric subscribed to you first or if I did, but I share, all the different, Google accounts, like, because you're going through different, channels and stuff. And it was just on one of the suggested, maybe we weren't even subbed, but one of your live streams popped up and I was like, oh, that's Arias. I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. Like, I'll hop in. I saw your setup and everything. And I'm like, this guy's awesome. Like he's got a good charisma. He's got a good background. He gives a shit, essentially. Yeah. So it's like, it was cool, man. And trying to get connected, life be doing what it be doing. And it was one of those, 100%. Like it was a month in advance. And I was like, you know what? No, I'm like, we are having a conversation. We've been talking about this, but like, even if it kills us, let's do this.
Yeah.
Thing,
we're going to carve out the time. We're going to carve out the time. No, I really appreciate it, man. And your mom is such a great supporter of the channels that I'm a part of. And it's just awesome, man. And I love, just kudos to you too, man. I love the space you and Eric have carved out with Rykerroad. Like, it's such a welcoming community. It's such a welcoming vibe. I love the dynamic between you two. It's a great channel, great spot. It's a great community, and that's really what drew me. I couldn't say what video of yours I saw first because it's been a long time.
Because my suspicion it's probably like NF or something, it's like something that was in the algorithm, but I mean, who knows? But
man, maybe because there was a time NF was like literally everywhere. There was a time NF was everywhere, and I've noticed I've noticed this, and I don't know if you've noticed this, but do you notice like older videos being suggested now? Like, if you look at the timestamps, they're like years old.
See, yeah, that's this is I think this bleeds into, kind of just like the idea of, what we get to see happen in YouTube Studio, because I think that it's something that, the audience, to be fair, is at a disadvantage because they don't get to see the receipts. They don't get to see why certain decisions are being made. And it has been, and it's interesting because I've noticed it on my own. And Eric and I, like, like when we get together, we chat about stuff, but this is kind of like a newer thing. We have we do our kitchen time, our kitchen talk, where we chat and figure everything out. But I've noticed some reactions that were very underwhelming. That it was kind of that thing where it's like, like the 2 years ago thing, like what's going on? Like
Dude,
why is it pushing this or whatever? Like, again, it's cool, but it's like, well, what's the logic, So
it makes it just like right when you think, and I'm not gonna promote myself as some kind of, I don't have all the answers, and especially not when it comes to YouTube.
Of course.
It's so right when you think you kind of sort of have it dialed in, something weird happens and you're like, where did this come from? And that's like our lives, man. Like,
dude, I have yet to find a time where I have been completely comfortable. More so like on the reaction side of things, because again, it's, the fair use is there, but at the end of the day, we're dealing with copyrighted material. It's kind of like plutonium. It's like, no matter who touches this, they're fucked, so it's like, but in the same hand is that, seeing, other channels that, are completely original. And it's the fact that, like, regardless, YouTube is going to push what it wants to, and this AI that we still don't understand, that does not work. That is, all the list of, terrible laundry things. But it's just that moment of like, damn, like, you know, it's that, I think I've said it before, but it was like the idea of like, you know, man, like I made a short film with me and my friends, you know, for 2 months, and we ordered, you know, prosthetics, and, you know, we did, you know, cinematic things and lighting and all this stuff. And we post it and it gets like 100 views, but some guy playing with his cat with a little feather toy gets 1 million and he lives off the residuals, you know? So it's just, you know, it's the name of the game, you know, like it is what it is, you know?
I got my first slice of humble pie. Like I would say this, maybe when me and my friends started our other channel, Embrace the Suck 21, I was like, okay, our videos are, you know, are popping off. You know, we have some good numbers, I guess. And then I go to, let's say, learn how to set my watch, and I go to that video, and then I'm like, 15 million views. And I'm like, get out of here. 8 minutes of just some buddy with a very, very thick accent telling me how to set my watch. And I'm just like,
was he helpful? Like, it's, you know,
actually, yes, very. My watch has not. I have a springtime watch and a fall watch.
Oh, so you're one of those guys. You like your wrist accessories.
Yeah, I'm just like, look, I'm not gonna watch his video again. I already watched it once. I got a springtime when we spring forward and when we fall back. All right, daylight savings time accessories.
He knows for a fact that he's going to get 2 excessive amounts of views twice a year. And dude, like, if anything, I kind of would rest in that, where I'm kind of like, I'm good, man. Like, it's like I can just do whatever the hell I want, you know? Like,
dude, facts, right? Like, hey, listen, the video may not pop off, but wait, I know when people come over.
Yeah.
That's actually genius.
I think it's probably the only like YouTube hack I think I've heard that actually like would work. But then again, it's like, it's such a niche market where it's like nobody else can do it.
You better,
you know,
That's a great. Anyway, I saw that, I was like, yeah, we're not doing shit. I was like, this guy got it. But no. So okay, maybe a lot of people don't know the origin of Rykerroad, right? What is Rykerroad? How did it come about? Like, what blazed your path where you're just like, music reactions?
It's honestly like, I think that because one of the big questions that we get is, how did the name Rykerroad happen? Like, you know, because it's, you know, it's, for me, like, I love the name of that channel, because it's not just because I created the name, not the channel itself, but came up with the idea for the name. Because the joke has always been that I named Eric's channel and Eric named my channel, so it was that kind of funny thing. But no, but essentially what it was that his daughter's middle name is Ryker, and he wanted it to, you know, to be a part of something, you know, whether or not it was big or small, whatever, like that was like, would be his identity. And we were standing in the kitchen after much medicating and alcohol, after, you know, a Friday night, and just like figuring stuff out. And he said, he's like, I think I want to have Ryker in it. And this is literally what happened. I went, Ryker, road, Rykerroad. You've turned onto Rykerroad. And he went, yeah, that's it. And then I wish I could tell you, like, we talked about it, we hashed out. It was literally 10 seconds. And that's like how it came about. And, you know, it's, as far as like the channel itself, it kind of goes more into like, I guess, the mental health side of things. The catalyst for us, you know, deciding to do it, or to try to even get close to something of it, was my life had changed drastically, not in a good way at first, but ultimately in the long run was the best thing that ever happened to me, as far as like putting me on the right path to where I am now, to the even better thing that happened to me, you know?
Yeah.
And Eric had a similar kind of path, and he had been living with me just in general, where it was kind of like, nah, man, like, you're not gonna, you know, deal with this, you know, negative shit in your life, and like, you know, come stay with me, you know, start your life over, you know, do this and this. And it was born out of a necessity of just needing something to do, you know. And it was just because, for instance, actually, I think we should actually start here, was that during COVID, him and I had a podcast that we did that is like the oldest thing that we've ever put online. It was the Kyle Wright 425 podcast. And I called it that because it was the only licensing, or like the only name that I could have with a part of the account of the podcast thing I was using. That's why we ended up changing it to the Cavecaster. Eric thought of it because I was like, dude, I fucking hate this name. Like, it's my name. It's so pretentious. The Kyle Wright 425.
What is 425? And 424 was taken.
Literally, it was whatever Google gave me. That's why my email and everything has it, you know. So
I love that.
But no, we had this moment where when I got the equipment, which was kind of a funny story in its own, but when we were sitting in the basement and I can't remember what we were even talking about, but we ended the show, and this is all just like put on a micro SD card, like it's just, you have to upload it and everything. And I'll never forget it. Eric took off his headphones and giggled, and he went, "That was a lot of fun." And it was that first moment where, like, I've been making YouTube videos or doing videos since I was like 15, but like never had gotten anywhere with it, as far as like an online presence, as far as that, and we had this moment where it was kind of like lightning in a bottle, where it was like, dude, like we love doing this. We love talking. We love bullshitting, and just, letting just let the things flow, let it happen the way that it should. And Rykerroad actually started off as a gaming channel. It was Eric wanted to game so bad, and as I've always said to him, and it's been something that him and I have rested on, is that Eric does not take no for an answer. Is that if something is not working, there is a way to make it work. There's a way to make something happen. There's a way to make it feasible. Mm-hmm. And after about 6 months, or maybe 6 months, it felt like 6 months, but we hit every fucking dead end that was possible. We were like, from like having that Tom Segura moment of that, like, fuck, just like, like when things aren't working, and like, it was so infuriating. And, when we finally got to a point to where we could record properly, the room had changed from the terrible black foam that we had, which hopefully no one will ever see, because we've released it a couple of times for people to see. But we just it just wasn't worth the time that we were putting into gaming, because we would record for like 2.5 hours, and then the usable content was like 15 minutes. So it was in that point, it was I think the way we said it was, I would screw this up as far as the numbers, but for sake of argument, it was, we had 17 subs who the majority of them were our friends and family that didn't watch, so like it was just, it was defeating in a lot of ways. And finally one day, Eric just looked at me and he said, "Hey, do you want to try reacting to music? I've got a song I want to show you. Can we, build OBS and do it this way and stuff?" And I said, "Yeah, like we can do that." My response to that was kind of like, okay. Like I didn't really put much thought into it. I was kind of like, whatever, fuck it. Like, I'm like, we're not doing anything else, And we reacted to the very first reaction we ever did was The Weeknd covered Dirty Diana. And Eric had known the song, I didn't, so it was me just, like rocking to it. I'm like, oh my god, like, dude, if you're gonna do the King of Pop, like, you got to do this shit justice. So I was very critical in the beginning, and we just had a great time. The next day, there was so much interaction, and there was just like subs started climbing, and we were just like, holy fuck, what's going on? Yeah. Like, we're both like severely emotionally depressed. We're both, like at a crossroads in our lives when it comes to relationships and finances and everything. And this thing happens, and we had this moment of, well, okay, I guess we're doing this, and it's like, it's kind of like the joke that Rob Zombie said on Rogan, when he said, "I feel like my whole life has been, I could have gotten hit by that car, I just didn't." So it's like, it's just the fact that it's like, we don't really know how it's all gone down. It's very much why we give the credit to Everything Higher, man, because it's just the fact that it's like, no, God has very much worked in our lives. And, I've got a mouth like a sailor, but I know exactly what, who to give thanks for things, and it's like, it's that moment of like, okay, if we're going to keep doing this, what does this look like? Does, is this something that could, pay for itself down the road? Is this a smart decision for us to put our time into this? Is this something we both want to do? At that time, it was kind of a perfect mixture, because Eric and I lived together, and, we would get done from work. We'd come home, we'd record, we'd relax, we would watch Good Mythical Morning, and just, kind of just do our thing. And lots of binging, lots of Big Bang Theory, lots of Game of Thrones, like different things. We like to watch a lot of shows and things, but no, it was just, that's essentially kind of how it went down. And then the rest is history. It just, like, we started to gain an audience, for certain things like NF and, the different, big things that have happened, like the K-pop that we dove into, and then, getting, finding out about Sleep Token, and like that just being like the biggest thing we've done, across the board. But I will give credit where credit is due. Falling in Reverse, Watch the World Burn has actually almost 1 million views. So that is the biggest thing we've ever done. But it's the fact that it's like, no, like we've had so many incredible things that have happened, from just being idiots on camera, and it's that thing of like, I have this mentality of like, man, are they just going to find out that I'm a fraud? Like, or it's just like, I'm just, I don't know what I'm doing, but I know what I'm doing enough to get out what I don't know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like, it's that type of thing,
Yeah,
but,
dude, I love that.
So long way around the barn. That's essentially kind of how it all went down. And, essentially like, with the podcast and everything, we were already doing that, beforehand. So it was kind of that idea of like, okay, well, what if we did reactions, but then we did, a podcast every week?
Mm-hmm.
Let's find some things to talk about, or like, let's interview people. Let's do this. Let's do that. So those were kind of like the two main epicenters for a long time. And we tried, different, non-music content on Rykerroad, but after a while we just realized that we needed to put it somewhere else, that it's like, no, like Rykerroad needs to stay as reactions. Like let's focus, and delegate and do what we need to, so
that's huge. For anyone listening that wants to start a YouTube journey, that's huge. That's one thing I feel like we can all talk about is like, if you're going to do something, stick with that. I mean, not saying you can't do other things, but your bread and butter should be that one thing you're known for.
Absolutely.
Right? Once you start mixing stuff, YouTube just doesn't like to push stuff out because it loses track of what you guys are. Like we had that.
I think it's honestly like it's one of the more infuriating parts, which I mean, with that, I mean, pick a number. I mean, like there's many infuriating things about being on YouTube, but it was just more so the fact of that, I know for me personally, and it was kind of like, at a point where I got burnt the fuck out. Like we were doing 7 videos a week, doing a podcast every week. I was trying to make scary stories happen. On top of that, we were, conceptualizing the idea of the detour, and what we realized was that after a very rough winter of just no interaction, like it was just like seeing your analytics plummet and your heart fucking sinks, and you're like what am I doing wrong, why isn't this working? And that's when we realized that it was like, no, like we're working too hard, man. Like it's like, let's put out 3 to 4 videos a week and do our thing, and it's like, okay, like, that's a comfortable radius to be in, that's a comfortable place, where we can, go through enough things, but in the same hand, not feel like we have to fill a video in a day when it's just going to bomb, and I think that's the thing, that there's a big point of contention with our audience, specifically with me, because I'm the main one that like communicates it, is that, it's like, people get very butthurt when they're like, it's like, oh, well, you don't do Whit Lowry, you don't do this. And it's like, yeah, because guys, we pulled in less than 1% of our audience. Why would we keep going? And it's so I'll be the bad guy. And it's like, that's fine. It be the bad guy, but it's the truth,
But dude, I mean, it's just like, you have to see the numbers. And I hate saying that because it dictates what path you pursue. Like you throw something up, and let's say it tanks. Max, you'll try it one more time, maybe. If there's nothing, right? If there's nothing else. But if people aren't there for it, then you stop pursuing that. That's how our path was defined on our channel. And I feel like, there's some stuff we stopped doing just because, we just couldn't, it didn't make sense. It didn't make sense. It was just like we wanted to, but it's kind of like we have a limited amount of time to get some videos in,
Well, and I think that it's also the fact too that it's like, I mean, you have a very, very good understanding of what it means to carve out time. I mean, from what I understand is that you're not only, a YouTuber, you have a job outside of this. You're a dad, you're a husband, like it's like all those things, and it's like, I think that it's, some people have this perception of what we do, and it's not even just us, but like, videos in general, is that they think that a magic wand happens and 13 videos appear.
I wish.
And it's, God, it would be so great.
It would be phenomenal. God.
It's just, and the sad part is that it's like, no, like, I've said this on multiple podcasts, but I will always reiterate this because I think that it's something that you can go back and watch this and have this foresight, is that the Voices in My Head video from Falling in Reverse, the one that Ronnie reacted to, and, you know, all these things. And we did a reaction to his reaction, which was really weird. But it was a lot of fun. But that was literally the worst day of my life.
Oh, man.
And I won't go into like what happened just because there's some people that would not be happy. But but it's just the fact that it's like it was that moment of truly understanding what it was like to go in front of a camera and just fucking let go.
Yeah.
You know, and just like, you know, like I know that all of these poison barbs are waiting for me outside of the studio, but for 15 minutes, nothing is going to bother me.
Yeah.
You know, and it was a situation that I actually didn't even talk about until months after to Eric. So like Eric had no idea that I was going through that at that time, but we had a job to do, you know, and it was, I always find that kind of ironic where it's like, that's one of the most popular things that we've done that has been recognized, you know, by Ronnie, which is wild, you know, and it's like, we've never thought anything like that would ever happen. But in the same hand as that, when I watch myself, I know the phone call I got that day. I know the text messages that I got. I know what I lost or was going to lose, you know, and it was just, it's that moment of like, you know, like guys, like, you know, streamers are, you know, we're people too, you know, and it's like sometimes life kicks you in the balls and the teeth at the same time. And it's like you're just begging to breathe. And somehow you can still make it happen, you know, and it's just Eric's a testament to that. He's helped keep me forward, you know, and he's helped, you know, as much as I've helped him as well too, you know,
which is huge, man. You know, you do this, it's like you automatically somehow, some way. I mean, I was never given the thing to sign, but you agree to the terms and conditions of needing to have thick skin when you're out here in front of this, you know, and to touch on that point, man, it's like, you add the burden you carry with your everyday human life, right? And that goes on top of everything that's happening behind the scenes, right? Of just getting what the subscriber is watching, right? It's just like there's so much stuff and it's ever changing, and you're just like, oh my God, there's so many things. But once you hit play and you react to, that's like I would say that is the best part of everything, is when you hit record and hit play on that first song. It's like, it's awesome. But then unfortunately that fades away, and then you're left with the tip of the iceberg of shit we got to do. Like it's like, yes, that was a good, it was like, you don't stop living your normal life, but you take a kneel for a brief second, just enough. You're like, that was beautiful. Now, find a way to get it up.
Well, I think that it's, you know, like there are days that it's easier to react than others. Like, you know, for instance, like when we get new stuff, you know, where it's like, you know, the as much as my music life personally has been neutered by, you know, being on a reaction channel, because that's when you realize you can't listen to anything. You know, and it's like, you know, like for me, like waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I mean, granted, I was much younger at the time, but it's like having my coffee and just like, you know, having Breaking Benjamin mornings where Phobia and Dear Agony were on the menu before I even got into work, you know, the entirety of both. And it's like, you know, of course, yes, I can still listen to those things. But the thing is that there was a discovery there. There was something that, you know, at 2 o'clock in the morning when I looked at it on YouTube for the first time and saw Ben's brain scan and the visuals articulated themselves into my ears through his ability. Like, it's just like, there is nothing that will ever replicate how good that is. It's like being a part of the population that gets goosebumps from listening to music, you know, and the weird thing is that we are squandered of that in our personal life. But the interesting thing is that we get to do that in front of an audience.
True.
And I think that that's the part that is very unique. But in the same hand is that I've had different bands where, like, you know, for instance, like Dance Gavin Dance, where I'm like, fuck everybody. I'm listening to Dance Gavin Dance. I'm like, you guys let me down. I'm fucking enjoying this. Like, you know, I'm not waiting for the possibility of, you know, 2 more videos to possibly bomb again. I'm over it, you know.
That's what it is. Like, people don't understand. Like once you do, like, let's say specifically music reactions, right? Your blinders are on. Literally for other channels, let's say your friends' channels that you subscribe to, like, I can't watch this video. I can't go exploring, right? On my own. I feel like I have to be here in front of the camera if I'm going to listen to something for the first time, you know, or heaven forbid, I accidentally, I've done that before too. I'm like, let me just click, and it's like phenomenal. And I'm like, like, why?
It would have been great. Yeah.
Yeah. Or, man, it's an interesting beast, especially the music reaction channel, man. It's crazy, but I love that you guys have each other to have your support system, because this is something I try to always include in every one of our talks here on this channel, is like the burnout. How do people deal with the burnout? Because the burnout is 100% real, and it hits different people different ways and at different times. I was releasing 6 videos a day for like 2 months.
6 a day?
I was and listen, old YouTube, or a year ago, YouTube was only
it feels like it's old. Yeah.
It's old, right? It was only pushing out 3 videos. So the other 3, I was getting like they were coming to their own slowly. But the 6 videos a day, I knew it was unsustainable. It achieved what it needed to achieve, and we grew very rapidly. But at what cost? It's just like I had no more in the tank. And I'm just like, listen, I'm done. Like I needed to seriously push the brakes. And and especially since I was starting to get hit with like the copyright claims, but then also just overall blocks. Just like it's blocked. And I'm like, and I'm talking about like different niches, different genres, different bands,
It's everywhere. Yeah.
It's everywhere. So I was just like, I'm getting burnt out. On top of this, I'm hitting these new obstacles that I'm not used to. And then what happens is like, well, how come you can't do this video? Because so-and-so did it. Love those comments, hate those comments, because that's one thing that I do get on a soapbox about YouTube. It's like that right there makes it so hard for us to help each other in this community, because it is not one and done. It's like your path is 100% yours. You could help me out with like tips and tricks, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work. You know?
I think it's why we, like I'm again, it's the fact like I do have that disconnect as far as like your reactions now, except for like, the songs I've heard, because it's one of those where it's like, it's an odd place to be in, where you're like, man, like Eric, he's like, dude, like I watched Too Lit Mafia, every day for like, for years, where it's just like, that's when I would go in my garage and smoke and like, relax, and like he helped me decompress. And now it's like, I guess the trade-off is that, we're friends with him now. And now that we've been in that community, we've been very, very fortunate to meet very incredible people, like bar none, and it's that moment where you're like, fuck, like I can't support him anymore. It's like, I can't, I have to share from a distance. I have to, do nothing but speak highly of him on lives, and be like, guys, like go check him out. Like, he is still one of the GOATs. Like it's, this and this, but yeah, it's just, it's tough because, it's not like, being a part of a group of like filmmakers, where you're like, hey man, like check out my new short I just did. Absolutely. Here's my critiques, but dude, this is what I loved. You have me on the edge of my seat. It's kind of a, like the way I've said it is that, like on the detour, like when I've talked about like, like in my driving vlogs where I'm like, guys, like reacting is such a bloated market. Like everybody and their mother thinks that they can groan and they can on camera, every couple of seconds and post something and think that they're going to make millions. First and foremost is that I can literally show everybody, through YouTube Studio, the amount of videos that are not monetized. We do not own Bentleys. We do not have 3 homes. We don't have, this and this. Like it's funny. And it's cool that people have that perception, because we even had that of Too Lit before we interviewed him, and when we got into a personal level, and he was like, no, man, this is reality. This is what's going on. And it's like, oh my God, like are all reactors just struggling like this? But then there's some where you're like, oh no, there's a dotted line happening there somewhere that's not of service.
Somewhere there is that 1%. There is that 1% that is driving away in a Bentley. Like you're like, what? But no, you're right though, because it's like I look at YouTube Studios, it's like yellows and reds, and I'm like, oh God.
Dude, when there's a green, I'm so happy. I'm like, oh my God, it's a different color,
And then I get a little bit hesitant. I'm like, it's green for now. It's green for now.
Yeah.
Like everyone just calm down, even though I'm alone. Like everyone just calm down. It will.
I don't remember having this many voices in my head.
Yes, exactly. Everyone just shut up. No, it's not. It's a soft win here. Soft win. But no, it's so cool. Like, and I'm not just trying to stay on Rykerroad, because I know you have other channels, like you already mentioned the Cavecast and the Detour, right?
Yeah.
There's something that there's a segue there that I feel like I'm missing, but I feel like it's healthy, and I would recommend this to anybody starting out, let's say a channel. Have another channel, have another outlet.
Yes.
Because once YouTube finds you, that's your identity. Stick with that. Don't give up the creative aspect of it. Don't give up what you want to do as well, but put that on another channel. Don't cross streams. Don't mix those things, because you'll end up going, at least in my experience, you'll end up going backwards faster than you would move forwards.
Yeah. You have to branch out. You have to do other things, Yeah.
And I'll put it this way. Our channel here, our whole channel got privated out of nowhere. I woke up one day, the thing was, do you want to create a channel? That was there. I had my profile picture. Do you want to create a channel? And at that point, I was like, okay, it's my fault for building sandcastles at the beach with the channel. That's my like, today's the day I guess I get burned. And so if it weren't for the help of the people that were members of the channel, they got notified more than I did. Because that payment route was cut off, and they got more out of YouTube than I did.
Yeah.
So eventually I got allowed to come back. I got blipped back.
Did they ever give you like did they ever give you like a solid reason as to why that happened, or do you think it was like a random shitty thing, or
I think it was a random shitty thing. I think because it was just like, oh, everything's privated. I was like, but your channel's still there. It's like okay, cool. Can I get my channel back? Because I didn't private it, right? And so then what happens is it privated all it. So once your channel's privated, it privates all your videos.
Yeah.
Right. And those videos are basically dead. Once they're privated and you have to relist them, those have lost their little mini algorithm, that you would get, because I know, you get comments from old videos, right? Old videos. You're like, wow, I can't believe people are still watching that. So for me, on like this year is like I would say the oldest comment I've gotten was from a video from January.
Wow.
And I'm just like, okay, but I say that to say this: if it weren't for the other channels I had, I would be left in the dark, and so would everyone else. It's kind of like you just blip out and there's no communication. That's not good. You dip out on a community. That's not cool. So it's always good to have another channel where at least your community knows where to find you.
Well, I think it's, the interesting thing about the other like side projects and stuff is that, like, number one, I agree with you, because I think that there's been plenty of times that, hopping into a campfire video and just voice acting, and it's like that has saved my mental, just because it's so different, or the times that, Eric and I have literally had therapy sessions on Cavecast, about certain things, especially diving into Sleep Token. Like, Eric ripped open his heart, and talked about a very private thing that happened to him that, it's like, it's, they're so different, in so many different ways, and it's like, I know for me that, my goal has always been to make films. My goal has always been to, make crazy fucked up things that, people won't expect, it's like kind of like the idea of like, oh, there's cosmic horror. Cool. I want to do eternal horror. Like that's like my goal, So it's like, it's that, it's now, again, will it work? Who knows? But still, it's like, it's something that keeps me busy. It's something that, allows me to express myself in different ways, and it's funny because even doing like the campfire is that, Eric, he was, very much like in the vicinity while I was doing that. He's not involved in it in any way, but he would hear the voice acting things I would do, like if I was like screaming or like, different things, or like one night, I'll be careful and tread lightly here just because of YouTube, but there's a story of someone that is trying to go to the afterlife to find his family. Well, there's only one way to do that. You have to stop your heart. And I needed to make it sound like somebody was suffocating in a bag. And, like I've gone to freesound.org and like I'm looking up a bunch of stuff. I'm like, I can't look up this.
Yeah, like it's like, all right, congratulations, journalist. Gotcha.
Yeah, right. What did Titus say when he said that? He's like, I did some research of how to make a pressure cooker into a time bomb, and I'm sure I'm gonna have no problem getting on a plane for the next 5 years. He's like, I was trying to write some jokes, but
oh God.
But no, it was just, like I remember coming upstairs and because my studio was down at that point, and I grabbed a bunch of plastic bags. And he went, "Oh, what you doing?" I'm like, I need a suffocating sound effect. I have to play a dying person. He went, "All right, have fun." It's like just like he doesn't even ask questions anymore. But that's the thing, is that I get to flex some muscles that I don't get to do on Rykerroad. Like, obviously, like we've done like the intro where it's me shouting, you have to turn to Rykerroad, like that whole thing. Like we, built that, and we conceptualized it and everything, and that's cool. But that's kind of one and done until we rebrand again. It's like, I got to like have a little bit of that, and it was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And we're reacting again. Here we go. So, but no, the campfire, I would say, is probably my favorite thing, just because like right now, like I'm working on a backroom story. It's actually the creepypasta, The Horrors of the Backrooms.
Oh, nice.
So I think it's like a 3 or 4 part story, but I'm obsessed with it. I love the concept of liminal space. It's one of my favorite subreddits to just doom scroll on, and just see. And my goal is that if you're gonna listen to a scary story, you're gonna listen to a scary story. You're gonna hear the footprints. You're gonna be, like for instance, like The Last Bus, is about a ghost bus that will pick you up, and if you can survive it, then you're given an answer to a question, no matter what the question is.
Wow.
I wanted to make sure that when our character, like, who I'm portraying, is going on the bus, that you hear the doors shut and you hear that like that kind of like sound. Because to me, it's like there's such a wasted potential of, people that don't take the time to build the world that they're trying to portray. And that's something that I try to do. Now, the bad part of that is that it takes me 6 months to make a story, because I'm working on it or because I've not done anything, because I want to get back into it. But that's really become kind of like my home base again, like where like I'm feeling comfortable. I've got FL Studio open. I'm making my stuff, it's like I'm learning how to mix and master in the process. I'm making my mistakes, and I'm doing what I can from it. But it's, the Cavecast is awesome too. It's like, it's awesome to be able to have conversations. The detour is pretty much whatever we throw on there is just, it is what it is.
I love that. And I love that.
But yeah, it's cool, man. Like it's nice to have those other avenues, and we've learned how to not put pressure on ourselves to have all 4 active all the time, where it's kind of like, nah, man, the Cavecast needs to take a back seat right now. I'm working on this. It's like this is where my delegation
prioritize. It helps with the creative side of you. I'm not saying that reactions aren't. I'm just saying, like, that's your consistency, right? That's your like, okay, here we go. It's unfortunate to say, but after how long have you've been doing Rykerroad? Like 3 years, 4 years?
I think we're actually, I need to check out for sure how long it's been, but I think we're actually coming up on 4 here soon.
Nice,
I want to say we are. So yeah, I think the last time I checked, I think we've got over 1,200 videos. So it's like, it's slowed down. Because obviously it's like when you're doing 7 videos a week, clearly you're going to rack up for every day of the year kind of a thing, But no, that's why when somebody's like, why do you do this? It's like, we've done this 1,000 times. We've learned a few things, so it's like that type of thing.
Yeah, I get those comments, and I understand them. I do, because it's like new people discover your channel every day, right? And people may or may not know who you are, why you are, right?
Yeah.
And I get that. I give each person one stupid question. It's like fine.
But after that, you're out.
You're like, hey, don't be trolling every video, because you will find a quick way out. But it's really cool that that those your other outlets, right, have given you have breathed life into the creative side of things. You know,
I sure hope
I
so,
feel like it's no, it's huge because it's almost like you're in front of the camera. It's like, okay, now you got to be creative on demand. Like that is not how creativity works at all. It's
no,
like,
and it's well, I think it's like even the way one of my favorite quotes from Mick Thompson from Slipknot was when he said that they were getting ready, I think, to write Iowa. Paul, their bassist, like called him and was like, "Hey man, let's get in the studio, let's do this." And he was like, "Wait, really?" He's like, "We're not even done with tour. Like, we're not like, we're doing this, this, and this." And he's like, "You can't force creativity." He's like, "You can look at a painter, an artist, and say, hey, here's some pastels and stuff. Go make paint a picture." And it's like, no, what if I don't fucking want to?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, like what if I'm not there right now? Like, it's like creativity, I think is something that it has to spark. And the tough part about it sometimes is that you have to let the embers burn and create the fire that's needed. Like,
yeah.
There have been nights, like, God bless Crystal, because, there's been times that it's like I've worked a lot, throughout the week or whatever. And it's, it's kind of like that mirror moment of 21 Pilots, I believe it's Saturday, when he's on the phone with his wife and she's asking him how it's going in the studio. And he's like, it's good. He's like, but I miss you, and she's like, well, no, like, Tyler, like, if you're being creative, you need to, you've got to jump on that. Like, this is like, I understand what this is. And him having that moment of like, no, I want to watch Friends with you. It's like that type of thing, but then the thing is that what I have found is that when you steer into your creativity, you have the proper support, intimately. And then also, from a distance, is that it's like, you're working with the best ingredients, and it's one of those that, like, I'm in a very, very fortunate place in my life that I have a very good day job. I work marketing. I do videos for a living, doing that at a corporate office, so it's like, I'm always in a good place to be able to afford the things that I want to do, or to be able to do these certain things. But in the same hand is that I've got all this gear, but the thing is that if there's nothing up here or here, especially here, you're not going to get anything good.
Exactly.
And it's cool. Like, whenever I'm sparking creativity or something happens and I just get excited about something, I'm like, oh God, here we go again, man. It's like, it's so cool, but I think it's also the fact that, I'm also not in a place right now mentally that I'm just surviving. Yeah. Where it's like, where you're just surviving to where you can't even be creative no matter what you do. And it's, I'm a very fortunate place.
Man. That's a different grind. Survival mode. That's like, you have no time for creativity. You're surviving. It's completely different. You prioritize your time differently, man. But it's really cool, man. Like, I think your mom shared a story with me that you did, and it was, dude.
Do you remember which one it was?
I'd have to look. It was a while back.
Oh no, I think it was Darren. I think it was the one about the motorcycle.
Yes,
yeah, because I saw your comment that it popped up. Yeah, because there's like, it's very rare comments ever happen on that channel. So when they pop, I'm like, oh hey, so like, but yeah. No, man, that is a real story, man. It's terrifying.
That's terrifying. Absolutely terrifying, dude. But I love that. I love how you can. But you're right though. Like, you create the world. That's what the listener wants. Like, you have to dedicate time into creating the world. It's fully immersive, because it's different than just like reading a book. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I fall down into some realms of storytelling. Like, my YouTube algorithms are absolutely crazy, right? Because of the different channels I have. Sometimes I like to go check out, what is this channel's algorithm? Let me see what recommended videos are coming on this channel, and I'll log in. And it's great. It's great because I'll tell you what, man. Let's say the main this channel, when I go on YouTube, it's absolutely just reaction heavy, But everywhere else, man, is just like this raw algorithm, and it just spits out random shit. Like, the other day I was watching what's it called, metal detecting. Like how old am I?
Oh yeah,
well, I love that. I was like, why am I watching some European dude sweeping for Nazi treasure? I'm like, what?
I think honestly, like, there's sometimes YouTube just catches you, at certain points, because, like, for instance, when we finished the Riker studio, which is literally just like right across the hall from me, you know, there was, it kind of became like a cool spot just to hang out. You know, it's like, you know, that was the only computer. So we would, you know, I'd make music, you know, or Eric would, you know, edit videos, whatever. There was a day, like it was like a Saturday, and I knew I had the house to myself till like 7 p.m. that night. And I had medicated. Again, number one, it's recreational here, but I also had my medical card at the time, although there was a time that I didn't, but we won't talk about that. But no, I was legally high here in the state of Ohio, and I remember I saw this video get suggested. I was like, fuck it. I'm like, I'll watch this. And it was a guy building a log cabin in the woods for 3.5 hours. And I loved it. It was incredible, dude. It's awesome. That's a time when I love what the algorithm's doing. Cause I'm like, yeah, you know exactly what I'm looking for.
Yep.
And I didn't even know it, you know?
Yep. Dude, exactly. I'm pretty sure we watched the same video. I'm fight me. I love that shit, man. I love that shit.
Was it the one where about 3/4 of the way through he digs a hole through the bottom, and it's like, what the hell is this?
No.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'll see if I can find it. I'll send it to you.
Man. Yes. Those are the types of videos I find myself just, I don't know what it is. It's like maybe something happens and my brain just shuts off for that 45 minutes or however long. Yeah. Those videos could be 8 hours. I still feel like they're 45 minutes. I don't know. I don't know, but those are phenomenal videos. I used to use YouTube for just how-to videos. Before it became this thing, you know, I don't know. I'm my generation, right? I feel like we're very aged similarly.
Let's say 33. So yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, I don't even know. I forgot. I stopped counting after like 30. I stopped counting after like 31. I think I'm like 38. Not positive, but like doing this just didn't exist. You know, this was so random, so new, so exciting, so weird. I've loved this. There was something I was going to get at. You hit me with the curveball with the the log cabin build.
Oh yeah, right? Yeah, sorry.
so because of that, I started a homesteading channel. I'm going to do that. You know, like I want to start that. I want to get out, you know, because my whole purpose on YouTube, at least on my solo journey here, is to leave a legacy for my son. You know, just have a place for my son to find his dad always.
Dude,
you know,
you and Eric are so similar that I think it's one of those that like once he's available and like we can, dude, I think that you guys would click on that very well, because that is one of the deepest things that him and I have talked about, is why he wanted to do this, dude. That's just awesome that you have that too, man.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. It's like I wish my parents had something like this, because I would treasure all of it. You know, it'd be such a blessing to have, because they're not here forever, you know, and I'm not going to be here forever. And, you know, hey, stuff happens, and it would be cool to have a place where your dad just doesn't age and talks to you and is there and just like leave more of a legacy. So
definitely.
Yeah. So that's what the whole homesteading channel is, what I want it to be, but getting there is the process. Is like someday in the 25th hour, sooner than later, it will happen. But yeah, no, man, what? That was a random tangent. Random tangent.
I live for that shit, man. Hey, well, it's it's honestly like, it's just for me, like the flow of conversation where it's like, even the what did Billy Connelly say when he said that some things will enter my mind and I got to talk about it? It's like, talk about me, or I'll fucking go away. And he's like, it comes back, but that's like next April, you know? So it's like, you know, so, but I get it, man. Yeah.
One of my favorite comedians, by the way, Billy Connelly.
Oh, dude, he's phenomenal. Yeah. So Crystal's actually Scottish.
Oh, nice.
So it's one of those that, like, getting to watch, like, you know, his stuff, is that there's a lot of the slang that I don't understand that she's explained to me, and different things, like, especially when you watch like his old stuff, like Bites Your Bum, or like he's like brown haired and like he's like, you know, very skinny, and you're like, this is crazy. Like, you know, he's got a guitar next to him. Why? Just talk. You don't need to play anything, you know. Dude, so
I didn't know he was like what, part of a band?
Yeah,
that was like it's crazy, because to me my first introduction to Billy Connelly, and I didn't know this, was in I was a kid, and it was Muppet Treasure Island.
Yes,
that was the first time. That was the first
How
time.
does she bloody do that?
that. And then Boondock Saints. Like
of course.
That's where I was like, what? And then this guy is that, and so many other things. Anyway, I've and that's all discoveries from YouTube. Like people suggesting comedians and stuff. And I was just like, it's so crazy. Just on the music reactions though, like I thought I was pretty well versed in music. Turns out I didn't know a damn thing. I lived under a big rock. There's a lot more music out there than I ever thought, right? And like not just random artists here, like well-known, established, massive, groundbreaking artists. I'm just like, I've never heard them. And it's just like, holy crap. There's some stuff that I've checked out. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know, man. It's wild. I knew that they would never get played on the radio. That's why I stopped listening to radio a long time ago. But it was just interesting. It's like, man, this is wild. Like, I wish more people would know about this genre, But
I think that's one of the things I've really enjoyed about, especially like, because I mean, as much as I complain about, being neutered with, the personal life that I have with music, but in the same hand is that with what we have been exposed to, is just mind blowing, and it's like, when you go through a journey like NF, where it's, you have everything from The Surge to How Could You Leave Us, and it's this moment where, showing how vulnerable, you are in that moment because an artist was so vulnerable, and it's not to go too deep into that part of it, but like, it's just interesting, the like-minded people that, we've been able to attract, because Lola, who's she's been a good friend of ours, like through, just YouTube and everything. And it's, she's like made our Facebook page and stuff that people can connect on. And, one of the things that she said to Eric and I was, she said, no, she's like, you attract like-minded people. You attract people, the people that stick around, they get you, and it's kind of that thing of like, oh, what's this channel all about? It's like, oh, just watch some reactions and a couple of podcasts. You'll figure everything out. It's like that type of thing,
It always feels like just a good community with you guys, and that's
we try, man.
It's really, it's just disarming. And I love it. And I love that, like, you guys have the perfect balance. And that's what I love about it. It's like, okay, maybe I don't agree with you, but I'll agree with Eric, or there's some part, and I love that dynamic because it's like, because of that, granted, you guys agree pretty much on everything, right?
That's a little bit, it just depends, for music, we usually do,
for the most part. Like, if it's trash, you both would be like, man, not feeling it. It's like that. It's like, okay, let's just call it, because you have the music background, and I feel like that's so huge. What the fuck?
It's all good, man.
Oh my god! What? I got your audio coming out of my other monitor. Why is that? Are we still recording? Hell yeah!
It is still recording. Yes,
I love that.
I was not about to abandon this and abandon the call itself until I knew for a fact. You were like, nah, man, let's start over. I was like, nope, I'm staying right here. So, yep.
All right. How the fuck? I'm learning how to regroup because I feel like technical difficulties don't elude me. So I should get used to just, oh yeah, that was nothing. Well, that was awkward.
Oh no, I get it, dude. I've had nights just ruined for me, where it's like or like weeks ruined, where it's like just because my mental, has just nosedived because something I was so, on fire about, where it's like that's like I had that moment where I'm like, God, I'm like, are you trying to piss me off? Like, it's like, what's going on?
Are you not entertained?
But it's like that whole thing where it's like, it's like some people don't know how to deal with it. Like their toilet backs up and they scream as they're no God. It's like, no, I'm not quite there, but
I love that. I love the imagery though. I love that imagery. Your toilet backs up. It's just some on his knees.
I can't take credit for it. That's a Titus. That's Christopher Titus thing. So, but yeah,
so awesome, man. Love him, man. I haven't heard any of his stand up in a long time.
Definitely. I think you should definitely check out his. No matter your political viewing on vaccines, whatever, dude. Like watch his No Side Effects one that he just did a few years ago. It's where he talks about lockdown and everything, where he's like,
and that's where it wasn't cool. That's where it wasn't cool to talk about.
What was it? I think he said at one point that he's like He said, think about how weird things have been. He said, literally in the middle of COVID, our government told us that aliens were real, and we went, not now. It's like,
dude, bro, yes, man. That's, I was talking to my wife, and I'm like, dude, aliens are a thing. It's like, but what about the milk? What about the toilet paper? I'm like, God, man.
I don't care about that. We'll find a way. Yeah, it's like we'll milk a cricket if we have to.
It's so crazy how we're like, no, we always knew that. Never mind. Let's do the shit we don't know. Aliens real, not a big deal. We have other shit we got to deal with. And that's kind of how it is. It's wild, man.
Anyway, but yeah. All
right. Let's go back into it. Here's a good question. If you could sit down and react, right? If you could sit down and react to a video with any artist, dead or alive, who would it be?
Oh man. Now would this be in the purpose of like having Eric see it for the first time, or me taking it in for the first time?
You.
Oh shit. I think that in a perfect world, if I could, let's say that if there was a world where I had never heard like certain things, like if it was like, the moment that it was birthed in front of me, essentially, it probably, like, I would have to say some Polyphia songs, like Look But Don't Touch, and like Neurotica, and all these different things. Like when you see how technically skilled that these young men are, where it's like, dude, like they're doing such a great job. But excuse me, on the emotional aspect, dude, if I could go back in time and record a full 2-album reaction to The House of Golden Bones by Stone Sour, dude, I would love to give that to the world. Like that was, I loved that album so much. I actually have all 4 of the comic books downstairs. They're still in plastic. Like I that was the first time that I ever dove into a band like that, where I was so blown away by the concept of bettering yourself, and what does that look like in the psyche of someone's head, specifically Corey motherfucking Taylor. So it's like it was great. The music was incredible.
It's crazy. Like there's some I get these comments sometimes, like, I wish I never heard of this band so I could relive this moment.
Yeah.
Right. And that's just an interesting thing. Like, I wonder what for me personally, I would love to have amnesia for Electric Callboy.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like I would love to just every time I just fresh, because that was a journey, man. I discovered them on this channel, and it has become some bands make it to playlists, right? And then after the playlists, some bands get memorized, some songs get memorized. And right now, for me in this journey, it's Electric Callboy broke out of the playlist and is now on. My son loves Electric Callboy. Granted, shouldn't, but
I think that they actually have some pretty innocent songs. What in the aspect of like, obviously like Pump It's, very suggestive. It's not just weightlifting, but in the same hand as like, just like having songs like Spaceman, where it's like it's just ridiculous, like where it has some of the best vocal lines I think that they've ever written, and Nico as a clean vocalist is just wild. I always forget the screamer's name, and I feel terrible. Is it Eric? I feel like an asshole, but is
it no?
I always thought it was
There's
Eric
someone
and Nico.
called Kevin, right? Nico and
I think it's Kevin. I think it's Kevin. So, sorry, Kevin. But no, it's just like they have such a good dynamic with each other, bro, that they know how to. And what I also love too is that in their music videos is that specifically like when you see like Hypa Hypa, or you see Elevator Operator, is that you notice where it's like Nico's singing part is happening, but Kev's still doing the same thing. It's like they don't care about recognition of who's carrying what or whatever. Like even the Hypa video with all of them screaming the weird ways they do when they have Callie at the end, whatever, dude, like just like crazy shit. Like it's out of its mind, and it's so much fun, man.
It was such a break, such a needed break from reality for me. I was like, I don't know what world this is, but I love it. It's absolute chaos. So anyway, that's probably one of the ones I would say I wish I could just rehear again for the first time. Yeah. But man, here's something with all the channels, right? And you said that there are times where certain channels take priority, certain projects take priority.
Yeah.
With everything going on and your I would say your artistic voice given to the campfire, right? What, because you still have to keep Rykerroad lights on, full force ahead.
Yeah.
Out of the Cavecast, campfire, and the detour, is the detour just a result of the Cavecast, campfire, and Rykerroad just shoved into one spot? Just every day, just everything at one point. Like, here it is. Here's everything else.
It was, well, I think it was just the idea of, like, for instance, one of the things that Eric and I love to do is we have a show called Shut Up and Eat It. And it's essentially, to give credit where credit is due, is that our Mama and Papa, who are no longer with us, they are actually, we got connected with them due to, our mom's best friend, Heidi, who is Aunt Heidi. Like, I think I was like 15 when I found out she wasn't my real aunt, and I was crushed, so, but it was that kind of thing. But her parents were always Mama and Papa, and Papa, he had his man cave. He served our country. He had his, pinup girls. He had his, different, memorabilia. He always had the, TV that, it's where it's like we'd go down and we'd watch like the old 1930s like Tarantula movie or like all those things. Like we drank our bottled root beer. We were around, boobies and everything else. Like we were kids. We were never told no, you can't go into Papa's room. It was like, no, boys, come in here, hang with me. And it was very loving, very incredible. But if you've seen, like, obviously Elvira in the background of our Rykerroad videos, that's actually was given to us by our Uncle Rex, which is Aunt Heidi's brother. And he brought it to us, and he basically said, look, Papa would want you guys to have this. So he's always immortalized. She's in every video. We always make sure she's a part of it. But Mama, whenever, things were tight, and like you're making food for the week, you have your leftovers, she would make a stew out of everything, or would make like, whatever. And I know I'm jumping around, but Uncle Ryan, which is the other sibling, he would always bitch about, the food and stuff. And she'd be like, or he'd be like, hey, he's like, what are we having tonight, Mom? And she's like, shut up and eat it, Ryan. So like, so we decided to take that phrase and essentially use it for, the idea of like, oh, if people send us, foreign snacks, or if they send us, different things. But really what it birthed into was kind of doing our own, like, I tread lightly when I say this, but kind of doing our own like Food Network show. Where we go to, local places. We have, we try secret menu items if they have them. We sponsor different things. We've gone to Melt. There's a local town that's kind of close to us over in Wadsworth that they have the substation where they have a pickle pizza. And we're like, dude, we got to try that. Like, that's ridiculous, So
Hell yeah.
And so it's just that has, all that being said is that, we decided to take the things that we were passionate about that weren't reactions, that are directed, and it's like Eric and I are mic'd up, we're going to these places, we're interviewing people. Now we don't, obviously, life has to allow us the fortitude to be able to do that. Sometimes you don't have the ability, or like you have a room booked at a restaurant, but it's in December, so it's like, so you've got a while before you'll be able to film anything, so with Shut Up and Eat It, it's, it was that kind of idea of like, okay, well, that's not a reaction. So what if we just funneled all of our ideas that aren't reactions into one channel? And the thing is, like, we're still learning, like, we're still figuring out like what our groove is, and it's like making sure that, we can get that channel to a point to where, it sustains itself, that we have, a consistent audience with the things that are so out of left field, and it's cool, man. Like it's a lot of fun. Like when I post a detour video, which is, it's not as often as it should be, but in the same hand is that there's that inner smile that kind of happens where it's like, man, like the interaction's different. This is awesome. People are, I can tell how deep people have watched the video because of the comments that they're leaving, and that happens on reactions too. But it's cool, and it's just a place that we get to just let our creativity flow in a different way, where we don't get to, it's not acting, but it's like, no, like we're just being ourselves. We're just filming stuff,
I love that, man. I love that. And it's so important for anyone that is still watching with us, right? Listen, make sure you support every content creator's side projects. Make sure you take a look and make sure you look through the descriptions. Make sure you because it takes guts to step away from the reaction scene and do something purely original and your own, because you don't have, let's say, that break ice buffer in between you and the audience where you guys both are there for. Like, I'm here because of this band and so are you, you know, and then we figure this symbiotic thing right out.
Yeah.
But when you have your reactors or your content creators doing original type stuff, it's so important to go out and support them. You know, it's huge.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. That's pretty much it. I wish it's very unfortunate with how YouTube is like right now. Hopefully it gets better, but right now it's kind of like it's just an unfortunate world where, let's say, your Shut Up and Eat It couldn't coexist on Rykerroad, and it's infuriating because it's like you're more than just this. You're so much more.
Well, it's
hard.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this, man. Like, there's been times that I love how you said that earlier, where you said that your first, slice of like humble pie, that you got, couple of different things, related to Rykerroad completely, but also how things have kind of, shown themselves is that, when I was exclusively running the Rykerroad Patreon, and it was, eventually Eric, we delegated that. I was like, look, man, I'm doing Cavecast, take this over, that type of thing. There's nothing like getting a message from somebody that says, hey, man, my brother died last year. He died in a car crash, this and this, and it was just, he's like, watching you guys geek out over music, it makes me feel like he's still here and I can't thank you enough. And it's weird because it's like, I don't know how to react to that. It's like, there's that first thought that I have of like, God, like I could never imagine that happening or like losing my brother. I mean, it's, everybody dies, it is what it is, but it's a law of nature. But in the same hand is that we always have that, no, not yet. Not like no matter how far somebody is, and so there's that aspect. But then the other side of it, I remember I looked through my email and I was begging just, like into the universe and anything else where I was like, God, I'm like, I want a scary story to do. I don't want to just do a creepypasta. I want to do something that feels important. I want to do something that, is at least entertaining, but is real. And I looked through back far into my email and I found this kid that sent me a story about his dad, that there were 4 true stories that happened to him. One of them was about his dad camping out, he was at a cabin with his oldest daughter at the time and a bunch of his friends, and a bunch of dudes came down the hill that were rough on horses. And it was this moment of like, like they're cooking their steak and they're seeing these guys come down. And I think the way he said it was that he was a Southern guy. I'm not good at doing an accent of him, but he basically said, gentlemen, he's like, we can either fly lead to each other or we can sit down and have some country cooked steak. And like, he just took control of that situation.
Wow.
And so there was that. There was like a UFO story that he saw and different things. I was just blown away. Like, I couldn't believe I missed it. I was like, dude, this is great. And I made a video and, I put all 4 of them together and I ended up emailing the guy and I said, hey, thank you so much for sending this. I apologize it took so long to get to it, but here's the link, hopefully you enjoy it. And it was kind of that moment when the next thing when it happened was that I realized I'm like, I can't hide anywhere, and the best way was that this kid commented and he said, oh my God, you're Kyle from Rykerroad? He said, dude, I've been watching your reactions for however long. And he's like, I need to tell you, he said, my dad actually passed away
man,
recently. And he said, you've left something that I can go back and listen to. It's kind of like take on the thing we were talking about earlier. And it's like, had I not made the decisions I did to make content or even agreed to do Rykerroad, I would have missed that.
Yeah.
I would have missed that community, like I would have, like the channel is the reason why I have the good friends I have now that, do what I do, because that's who I connect with the most. Like I've got my, real, I hate to say this, but real life friends.
Yeah. But flesh and blood.
But no, it's like, I got to meet Ron and, Tulit and, even like I met my girl through the channel, like it's like all these amazing things happened. And it's just that moment where like you have to kind of sit back and go, wow, like this is bigger than me, because Eric and I look at everything as we're just two dudes from Ohio. Like if you would know, or if you knew like our habits and things, where it's like after we got doing this reaction that got hundreds of thousands of views, we stood in the kitchen, got drunk, and ate chicken with our bare hands out of a skillet. You know what I mean? Like it's like we're not living luxury. Like it's nothing like that, but it's just people have a perception and they're blown away by certain things, or like, that, we respond to them or that we talk to them on lives. And it's like, guys, we're people too.
Yeah.
It's like, we're it's like, just because we've amassed the subscribers we have does not change our mentality at all. And it's that thing, like 9 times out of 10, I actually kind of forget about the amount, the bigness, you know what I mean? Like where it's like, it doesn't, hit me. And I'm like, wow, okay. I'm like, this is just, it's like, this is my normal life. And then I open up YouTube Studio and I'm like, oh my God, like this is what's happening.
It's weird because it gets compartmentalized, right? It's like per video. It's like, okay, this is how many people per this video. It's just wild though. I love that. It doesn't give you a chance to like step back, but like when you're in the studio, you're like, damn, what? How? Crazy. My whole thing is YouTube has been the best mistake I've ever made.
Yeah, that's the best way to say it.
Every time we were on, and I was like, bro, we don't belong here, man. We're crashing this party. Like we just recently finished our last reaction for our big channel, and it was the most liberating, freeing thing, just because of conflicting schedules and consistency, monotony that drives channels forward. That's just how it is. That's the beast of the algorithm that we all serve. And we couldn't promise that to anyone that was part of the community anymore. So we're like, let's back out before we get kicked out. Like we didn't belong here in the first place. We're going to dip out, and we decided, okay, at least once a month or once, however, until we meet again, we'll put like a podcast or something up. But as far as making it work, we're just like, look, let's take our bow. We did the thing. We got the t-shirt, and listen, thank you for everyone that watched, but we're on our own paths. And my buddy has like 4 of his own channels now, and I have I think current count is 10. So it's like, it's I feel it, never ending. Like my face is still on YouTube and will probably remain on YouTube, unfortunately, for everyone watching for a very long time. But just not in that regard. So it's just interesting to see like the people that you meet in this journey, in the paths you cross, and because you would never normally, like our paths would never normally meet, like cross. Sorry, or 90% of the people I've had on the channel, there's no way in hell I accidentally bump into you. You know what I mean?
No, it doesn't work. Well, I think it's also, that's the thing, that it's cool to, because like think about this, is that like you have, like, I'm sure you have isolated incidents in your life of like people that you were not planning on meeting, that now they're just their family, where it's like they come to every event or different things. And it's weird because like even before Rykerroad was a thing, and I was it wasn't the campfire at the time, it was just my Kyle Wright 425 handle. But I have a buddy of mine that I've been very fortunate to meet, that he did a channel called Demented Pictures, where he would do top 10 like countdowns of like movies and things. And I loved it. And I'm watching his stuff, and I'm like, dude, this guy is like, his quality is insane. He's got this very low voice when he speaks. Like this kind of, I can't do him exactly, but I shot him a message and I was just like, bro, I'm like, I love your stuff. Like well done. Like, thank you. I'm like, I'm looking for something to do, as far as like, horror things. I'm like, here's my channel, like if you guys, if you dig it. And about 2 days later, I ended up doing a Skype call with him. He lives in Europe. Or the UK, and come to find out that he's connected with I gotta shout out my guys. So Tom from Newbie Reviews. So he's part of that group, as well as Gorecast. They're just all so awesome and just like just a bunch of great dudes. We've done Skype calls where we've Mystery Science Theater 3000 just for ourselves, but we've done it for like Batman and Robin or like Neil Breen movies or like, you know, but point I'm getting at though is that it's the fact that it's like, no, man, like I never would have met him. It's the fact that it's like, no, I mean, if I would have been, you know, out and about, like, you know, getting a drink or different things where it's like, it's that weird thing where it's like, would we have been friends? You know, it's like how would we have connected in that way? Like, you know, just like in the normal thing. But the thing is, I personally think that it would have happened, you know, like it's, you know, again, like you have for the way that you speak and the way that you carry yourself, you know, in your videos and specifically like your lives have been like the main thing that I've like, you know, tuned in on because I'm like, I love to see what people are like, you know, during a live, you know, because it's like, it's no editing. It just is what it is, you know, but
all it is.
But dude, the thing is that you're engaged in what you're doing is that you have a genuine like curiosity. You have a genuine just, you know, love for what, you know, like for what happens. And that's the thing that like once we started getting connected, I'm like, dude, I've got to talk to this guy, you know, because it's like I know for a fact that if him and I sat on our back deck, we would talk till 4 a.m. You know, it's like that type of thing, you know, and it's
easy,
but it's just it's cool to know that it's like from Virginia to the UK to Ireland to, you know, all these different places is that, you know, I've been so blessed to meet, you know, so many people that, you know, like I've had, you know, very rough conversations, not like arguing or anything, but, you know, with my buddy Mike, you know, from across the pond where kind of connecting to the whole voices in my head thing of my worst day of my life when I hadn't talked about anything, you know, and when I was telling him, he saw me getting choked up and I never cried in front of him. We're on a call, you know, so it's like, it's not like being in person. And I kind of just like wiped my face and I was like, I'm sorry, dude. I'm like, I usually don't do that. And he looked at me and he went, no, man, get it out. Talk.
Yep.
You know, he's like, dude, he's like, I don't care if you need to scream. I don't care if you need like, and it's like, that's the thing is that, you know, you have people that save you. You know, you have people that, you know, help you out in a time when you need it. And it's like, YouTube is the reason. You know, and it's wild. It's so cool, man. You know, it's something that, you know, I'm extremely thankful for. And it's, you know, even, you know, finding the love of my life and finding a new path and finding, you know, the drive to want to create again and knowing that I'm very protective of that, but I'm also very protective of my mental and, you know, of her and everything else in my life. Like I've grown up a lot since I've been on YouTube. And it's one of those that I find that I don't want people to go through what we have, but in the same hand as that, dude, it's like, if you just understood the grind, if you just understood what that really means, you would have a lot more respect for the content creators that are on this channel, that the good people that are trying to do good things.
And that's where I'm just like, well, one of the things I'm trying to accomplish with these talks, you know, bringing the people that everyone sees every day together, because I feel like the people in the comments, they're already connected. Everyone knows everyone in the comment section.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's like our Venn diagram is overlapping like crazy. It's more like of an eclipse, you know. But like they know each other. They see each other on different reactors videos. You know, they're all in. Like it's funny to see a live stream and seeing conversations already being had like, within like this other combo within your life. You're like, what did I?
How was that colonoscopy? It's like, what? It's like, this is normal. Like, it's
what? Yeah. You know, but it's like you see that, and then I always had this perception of like YouTube is vast, and yes, at some point it is, but we're all coworkers, we're all connected, and that's why I was just like, this is what I want to do. It's like I want to reach out, not to bands too, but more so, I want to bring us all together. You know, just not as in a big kumbaya fucking moment, not like that, but like just hey, let's just talk and give everyone just it makes YouTube seem less expansive, less vast, less like just I don't know, just less huge. Like we're all disconnected, but no, we can be connected just as much as they are. You know, and building these bridges between channels and it's a big thing. You know, because I feel like with everyone that we've had on the channel, including you guys, community is like the main focus. Yeah. It's like without community, we don't exist. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, I think it's also like the thing that, Eric and I have always said is that, we've had people that, either have recognized us from a distance when we've been in public, or, people being like, oh man, I'm from Ohio. Like I'm from the Dayton area, or I'm from the Cincinnati area, like, or I'm from the Cleveland area. Like, oh my God, that's so cool to know you guys are we share the same, airspace, and it's weird because, I very much take a Gabriel Iglesias approach to it, where it's like, guys, if you see me in public, number one, please be courteous in respect of like, if I'm in the middle of something, if you can tell that I'm flustered, whatever, like, don't like try to come up and talk. But in the same hand, it's like, you're the reason why I get to do this.
Yeah.
You're the reason why I've been able to build the things that I want to and everything. It's like, I would love to say hello to you. Like I had a guy at Walmart the other day. I was there to pick up a prescription, some coffee, and like some other things. I'm there for like normal everyday things. Right.
Yeah.
And I remember I saw this guy walking past me, and he kind of did a double take, and he kind of did this a couple times. And if he ever watches this, I'm sure he'll probably chuckle, because I think he knows what I mean, is that he looked like he was a fan of Rykerroad. Like it's like it was like the glasses, the beard, the tats, everything, And he turned around and he went, Kyle? He's like, Rykerroad? And I said, yeah. And he was like, dude, what's up, man? He's like, good to see you.
I love that.
So, and like he was like, can I get a picture? I was like, you sure can, man. So like we had a very brief interaction. He was very respectful, but it's just, to me, it's like, man, like, that affords some good opportunities, to, for people to understand, where it's like, no, dude, like we're just
I ran into him in Walmart.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's the shittiest place on earth,
Love that though.
Yeah,
because it is. We're fucking real. Like I mean, yeah. I feel like everyone I've reached out to and has come on this podcast, or I don't even know what it is. It's a thing that we do and we record it.
I love it.
We're just approachable. We're out here just living, just still in the grind, just still grinding it out, and we're still figuring it all out. I mean, no one, I don't care who you are, no one. I love those channels. 10 easy steps to grow your like.
Get fucked.
You. Fuck you. With all due respect, get fucked. Like, yeah. And then it's like, I love those videos because you look at the subscribers and you look at the comments. You're like, who are you, snake oil? I mentioned that in my last talk. I was like, dude, love those. I hate those, but I love them. And they just you watch one, and then your algorithm is like full of them. You're like, oh my God, what have I done?
I think there's like the brutal reality of like understanding like what it really looks like to be online, because I had a friend of mine who was going live on TikTok, right? He was trying to, garner an audience and different things. And he was getting frustrated, because he was just like, man, he's like, only like 2 people come in, like this and this. And I looked at his followers, just like number wise. And I shot him back and I said, buddy, I'm like you don't have a following, like you've got to build that. And I said, I'm like, how many people do you think come in on a Rykerroad live? And it was kind of, I'm going to speak out of school, but he was like, oh, it like, I bet like 1,000 people are in there an hour and something. I said, nah, dude, 50. We have at that time, it was like, we have 250,000 subscribers and only 50. And I hate to say it only, but like for the sake of this, like only 50 people showed up.
When you look at the numbers,
it's that type of thing.
Yeah. When you look at the numbers, you're just like, whoa, that's wild. But that's same things. Same.
Yeah.
Oh, let me tell you. Man. Anyway, that's a soapbox for another time.
I know it's a slippery slope. Yeah.
For another time. My God. But look, I know your time is a valuable thing, and we definitely have to get you guys back on the channel.
Absolutely.
I know. I was talking to Ron, and I want to pitch this to you. I think we talked about it too. Someday soon we're gonna set up a range day. Or it's going to be fun. It's going to be outdoor themed. Yeah. And I want you guys to be part of it. If that's your thing or not your thing, either way, you're invited always.
If you don't mind me asking, because I don't know if we ever talked about this, where are you based out of? Just like general.
So this gaggle fuck of colors right here, that's Maryland. That's
okay, gotcha.
Maryland. So yeah, we just if we can put our pattern on anything, Marylanders love to put their pattern on literally everything. Always. So we're not that far away. Not that far away. I would say within 8 hours.
See, that's the thing is that like even like our buddy Rage, a huge shout out to him because he was just he's become a very good close friend of ours pretty quickly, you know, through like just like we just connected with him, and he actually drove down with his girl last summer and hung out with us for a week. Cool. You know, and we had a great time. Like it was just, it's that thing where you're like, oh, like when alcohol is involved and everything, it's like, oh God, is anyone getting, because I think it was John Caparillo that said that alcohol, you have that slow, like that very thin line of what? You know, so like, you know, but it wasn't, dude. It was such a great time. It was, awesome. We got to, you know, kind of just like, there were some times where it's like, we did go live, but the biggest thing is we just did nothing. Yeah. You know, we just like, you know, that whole, like we had crew today and talk some shit, you know, it's like that, you know, like kind of thing, you know, but it's just, I love that, man. It's like getting to travel and, you know, truly like show you like how terrible of a marksman I am. But in the same hand, it's the idea of like, no, man, let's just have some guy time. Let's just stop for a little while.
Let's shoot the shit. And we can.
Yeah, right. Literally.
Right?
Yeah. Literally.
I think it'd be fun.
Yeah.
I'm setting some things up. It should be good. It should be a good time. And it'd be cool. It'd be cool to get different perspectives of different things. Especially when you get a bunch of people off the internets to do something. We all have something to say that's kind of in our job description. Right. We gotta say something. But no, I'll reach out with all those details. That'll be, I think that's that'll be fun. We'll make it happen behind the scenes somehow, some way. But look, man, we're gonna have you back on.
Yes, please. Yeah.
And hopefully, guys, if you guys don't know, I'm having technical difficulties here on my end. Just letting you know, full transparency, right? I gotta fix some gremlins in my house here. But But look, Kai, I really appreciate you, man. I really appreciate you making this happen, carving out the time, jumping on the channel. Guys, if you guys don't know Rykerroad or the Cavecast or the Detour or the Campfire, make sure all the links are in the descriptions. That magical place, that Bermuda Triangle. I love that.
Nobody knows about.
No one knows about. You know, no one knows about it. It's like the best kept secret on YouTube. All the questions literally you guys could probably ask are always in the descriptions. Like, show the description some love, man. Anyway, I'll have you back on. And thanks again, man. This has been phenomenal.
Dude, it's just anytime that I can just, you know, be able to connect with people, that's the main thing I want to do. So that this is, I love what you're doing with this, man. It's an honor to be here, and it's, I can guarantee you, man, I'll be back. I'll be back. Man. I'll be bringing Eric with me as well too. You know, so we'll figure some stuff out. But
let him know. Let him know I say hello and
yeah,
man. Did you guys like the coffee? Did you try it again?
So fun fact is actually, I was so excited. I woke up in the morning because I showed Crystal and I was like, hey, check this out. You know, it's like he sent it to us. I was like, and she's like, oh, that's badass. Like, we're big coffee drinkers. Like, the darker the better, the kind of thing. Yeah. And I popped it open and I saw they were beans. And I'm like, we need a grinder. I'm like, we're gonna do that. But that's gonna happen, you know. So, but dude, I smelled it. It smells incredible. It's awesome. It's awesome. So it's literally sitting in our kitchen as we speak. So yeah, man. So I'm excited for it. But no, I think it's one of those that, especially like in the future, like, you know, having some other conversations, like, you know, especially, you know, getting past like, you know, like the normal like YouTube stuff or whatever, like, dude, like I want to dive deep with you, man. So we'll definitely get something going. We'll get a you know, just a good like solid like 3 hours. We can just like have a good talk and just do our thing. So I'm there for it, man. I love it,
man. Well, guys, thank you for hanging out with us. And yeah, man, as I always say, unplug and do something legendary. And we'll see you guys in the next talk, in the next video, or back over on Rykerroad. Who knows? Later, guys.
Awesome. See you.
Yep.